Anyway,
anything.
go ahead,
Sorry
Alan.
about that.
Go ahead, Alan.
So relative to the building of the Hustler brand, there's certain situations where, I contribute a lot, particularly when, I talked with Feldman and he said that Helmuth was going to another, stream that was popular at the time. And, I said, why don't we just do a stream that's better? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, this is not like, don't bitch about someone leaving, like just beat the person leaving. I put that like in his brain, and I built out like a series of games that like kind of put them to shame. And I lost a bunch of money, of course. I didn't get much credit for it. And then we went on and we did some other stuff. And, I watched, Feldman do a lot of these videos about building up to the $1 million cash game. And he says he talked to Vertucci, he talked to this person, talked to that person. And it's like, do you not remember that this was my idea? That I talked to you about this? That this is something you should achieve or like go for? That I would support if you did it. And that's why, like, when I watch this video and there's 15 minutes of intro where Doug says, this is how this game came to be or whatever, and there's no mention of me, it's like, wait a minute. Like, I contributed to you being live at the bike. I contributed to you, going for this. And I told you to make a documentary around the game, which, now you're doing, which I've also contributed to, free of charge. I don't want a piece of anything. And
Ryan, can you hear him this time around?
Yeah, I hear you.
By the way,
Ryan, so I'm like, what am I even doing here? Like, why do I care about Hustler? Why do we care about live at the bike? I have, other offers in different places. Like, I think I've like kind of extended the length of what I'm willing to do for free. Like I gave them the crown, like walked them a certain direction, gave them certain ideas. They walked with it. They made no acknowledgement of it and didn't do anything for me along the way. So I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, I think, Ryan, I want you to address like what Alan said, but like I have just a very similar question, so I think you can address them both. Obviously, an accusation that's been hurled at you by many, many people in recent weeks is just like a complete lack of loyalty on your end, not only in building your business at Live at the Bike, but certainly Hustler Casino Live in the first year, and just kind of just being like, well, it's not related to Jack 4, but we're just not going to have Garrett play. On a personal level, bro, that shit fucking really hurt too. So I know slightly separate from Alan, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, from both of us.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, Garrett, you've been super valuable to the show over the first year or plus, and you were super valuable to the previous show I did. Like everyone knows that. I would say that a million times. Like that's obvious. You've kind of, like you said, have worked in a collaborative way with me, with us, in terms of just building the show and building lineups and all of that. Did we have our bumps in the road sometimes? Yeah, absolutely, but that's okay. And so yeah, obviously that was the case. There's no denying that. As far as Alan, like Alan knows that, like, he, like these days he's the star of the show. When he comes, I wish he could play more. Like Alan, whenever you play, we talk and we go through lineups and we talk about, what the lineup should look like, how we should build it. You always give me like valuable suggestions and feedback of how to build shows and how to produce the show and how to, what to do with lineups and just different like behind the scenes things. And like you're right about everything, like pretty much every single thing, which has been like a huge help to us. So there's no denying that. And so I mean, yeah, I don't know what else. I'm always gonna try to acknowledge that and give you credit where credit's due. And I'm always gonna try
but
to
Ryan, like I'm losing in the game. I'm always losing. Everywhere I go, I lose. Like I understand that. That's how Parker goes. Like I'm not upset about it. Like I play the game how I want to play. But I've approached the game where I knew that would be valuable to you, and I communicated to you about what it would mean and how to approach the game and what to do next. not just the previous games and the like Helmuth battles with Live at the Bike that I obviously won, that you got all the accolades for, and then the $1 million game, which is my idea, and the documentary around it, which is also my idea. You didn't even mention any of that about me. You didn't even give me like some
Well, that's
advisor
because
chairs or even anything around it. It's like
you never even
kind of
told us.
confusing.
You never told us yet if you're playing. What do you mean? Like, you told me to not.
Who cares if I'm playing?
I don't know what I mean.
How could I be more valuable to you?
Sure, that's fair. I mean, I don't know what you want to say. Like, we've had a lot of great meetings, and I mean, I've always tried to do whatever you think is the right thing to do in terms of building these games and whatnot. So I mean, I
But no
respect
game that you could produce in front of me is better than a game I would ever do outside of you. So like every time I do a game, I'm playing in a worse game that I would play that I would otherwise have.
Yeah.
So every game I play is a favor to you.
I think what Alan might be saying is that there hasn't been much public recognition. You haven't like acknowledged to the public how much he's helped produce the show, or reimbursed him in other ways, perhaps.
Well, I own pieces of 25 companies, right? Like I'm involved in businesses that are pretty important. So like the amount of energy I place relative to Hustler, relative to what I get out of it, is something I can't sustain or can't continue to care about. In fact, like there's other businesses that would be in the same space that I'd be more interested, that would give me nods, that I should look into.
Yeah, I mean, look, the truth is like 100%. You've been more instrumental than anyone in terms of helping me build the games, helping me build this show up over the last few months, year, coming up with all the concepts for the $1 million game, the documentary. 100%. I acknowledge that. I apologize for not stating that more publicly on
But you
podcasts and
certainly didn't
whatnot.
in the video. You did a 15-minute reveal.
Which
I didn't hear my
Yeah,
name
I mean,
once.
obviously the podcast was in my mind just about talking about Doug and talking. You just want the last one, I assume. Talking about just the players that are playing in that game and how the game is working. So, I mean, yeah, Doug's the one that asked the questions. I just I don't know what to say. Like if I knew you were in the game, obviously I would have talked way more about you and your impact. And like yeah, I mean you've had a huge impact. I acknowledge that, and I'm forever in debt to you for that, 100%. So I'll say that here.
I think just like I don't think you answered sort of my question, Ryan. And I'm really like not
Sure.
like trying to pile on. And there's so many things, private conversations, etc. Like if I wanted to like do or say things like to basically like negatively affect your image, Ryan, like I could do that. I really don't want to do that. My only question, which you haven't answered yet, is like, was like there ever a moment where you're like, fuck, man, Garrett did a lot for my businesses. Like, maybe I should show him some sort of loyalty. Like maybe a phone.
Interesting perspective.
Of
Like,
course there is.
wait, Brian, wait, just let me finish real quick. Like maybe just like a phone call during Jack 4, like even if like, our like what like we wanted to come out of it was different, and then at the very least, like, with Vertucci and his private little business revenue stream with the YouTube channel, you say like, dude, I'm not fucking doing that to Garrett, man. Like we have like a 6-year business relationship of doing some really great shit together. And I've said publicly, privately, etc. to you like thousands of times, like you've done a lot for me as well, But to just get fucking burned at the stake because Vertucci wants to throw some fucking clicks out there, like I don't know, man, that shit sucked. And also, like, it's not good for your business. I mean, that's more of an opinion, but it's just like if I play on HCL next Friday, like, you think that's going to be good for your company? It's just super disappointing, like from like a loyalty perspective. And obviously, I faded this question, when I talked on Doug's podcast and just gave a cookie cutter answer and just said, well, I get why he's doing it from a business perspective if it's negatively affecting his other revenue streams, like whatever. But fuck, man, privately, I was like, dude, that shit is so grimy. like who even knows like what your career would be like if we didn't work together all those years, you know?
Okay, so
Go ahead.
these are 100% mostly fair criticisms, and I don't blame you for feeling that way at all. Like I honestly don't. Like I totally get it. What I will say as a counter is two things. One, like I agree that you did a lot for kickstarting my uh, job as a producer, for also helping us build up this show and winning, so to speak, and all of that. 100%, I recognize that. Anytime someone asks me that, like I would admit that. Um, but would you agree that it goes both ways, and that I did a lot to help you? And I'm going to get to why I'm asking this, but that I helped you as well in terms of like getting you these big, putting these games together and working with you and all of that.
Yeah, and that's why, dude, I gotta say, man, like these spaces are just like so legit, you know, especially at like 1:15 in the morning Pacific, because it's just like people just getting real and being honest about some shit
Yeah.
that otherwise we might go 10 years and never have this conversation.
No,
Go,
for sure.
Garrett, go.
So yeah, I do totally agree. I hope I've given you credit for that time and time again. It was many, many years ago when we first started working together in 2017. I said, shit, Ryan, I think I've walked into a fucking business here where it's like, otherwise I'm retiring from poker. I'm not dealing with all the drama and politics of home games and privatized casino games, but I think we can really do something special together here. And we did. And I made a lot of fucking money playing poker once or twice a week over the many years we worked
Hmm.
together. And you were instrumental to that. There's no question. And again, I think I've said that publicly, like, 20 different times, so,
So yeah, if that's the case, then so what I was going to say is,
oh, sorry. Wait, one more thing I
go,
wanted to say.
go
The
ahead.
compliment. And then again, I just want to make clear because I haven't said it on the spaces tonight, but I have said it in other places publicly. Please do not like take what I've said to you as like I built like you, Ryan, like I made you or some shit. That's fucking ridiculous. Like Ryan Feldman made Ryan Feldman through working 100 fucking hours a week for the last 7 years. You were such an incredible hard worker, and like you're a good learner. Like you were not good at the job that you do now. I mean, now you have 30 jobs, but you weren't good at your one job of game building, in 2016, 2017. And now you're unbelievably good at like 30 different jobs. And so in no way am I taking credit for any of that.
Good point.
All I'm saying is together, like we have done some truly fucking magical shit. And then what? One chick cheats me in a hand. We both know that's what happened. And like that just like has to be the end of it. Like it's just grimy, dude. It just could have turned out so much differently. And I think we both can agree like we'd both probably be better off if it didn't turn out like the way it did, like between you and I, and we just ignored Vertucci and his drama and bullshit. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I get all that.
Yeah, Ryan, if only you ignored your ex-boyfriend, then you would be with Garrett forever and happy forever.
So given that, Garrett, like, and like when this stuff all went down, the Jack 4 stuff, um, you chose to handle everything a certain way, obviously, and you said the things you said, you handled it the way you did that night, the next few days, the next few months.
Can
I,
can I hop in with one thing and just say, if you remember in my first statement, I literally said like, and this was a mistake. I shouldn't have spoken in such absolutes for no other
right.
reason. You look like a jackass, but I said I'm 100% certain the ownership was not involved in this. Like I didn't need to say that, but like I felt extremely confident that you weren't. I mean, first of all, Nick's not a cheater. Like, but like beyond that, like he's not even in the production room. He's not, you're the
Yeah.
one all there every day. And like I was willing to put my entire reputation on the line because I didn't think there was a fucking chance in hell like that you could be involved,
No,
and like
I appreciate that.
um okay, that's it. Go ahead. Sorry, I
So
cut you
I
off.
appreciate that. But there were things obviously that you chose to do and handle, like whether it was, just the initial reaction, the interactions with Robbie, obviously, in when we talked, and the transaction and all of that. The certainty that something did happen. all of that, right? So there were some things out there that, because of that, the domino effect, like, that obviously it affected our business. It affected my, maybe mental health, so to speak, my, and not just me, but, Nick as well,
Well, what
and
can I
other people
do,
as well.
bro? What can
No,
like
no,
I?
hold on. I'm gonna get to my point.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right. Sorry.
So my point is, given all that, right? But me, like, I didn't come out. I don't think so. I didn't come out and say anything like negative against you. I stayed quiet. I didn't say anything about, like, man, like Garrett, he's a dick. He did this. He did that. No, right? But there were some things that affect our business, right? And you're saying, like, oh man, like, I can't believe you didn't call me during this whole time. Well, it goes both ways. You never called me, and you know that we got fucked up because of this, and that it was like a big deal to us, and that we were going through a lot of shit over those last few months, and you never reached out once. So you can criticize me for, like, not reaching out, but I was going through shit as well. And so it goes both ways. That's all I'm saying.
I think that that's super fair, and I think I'm gonna get made fun of for saying something nice here again, but like I think in the end, dude, like I think both of us really just wanted a lot more from the other person
Yeah.
over the course of those months. Like I think both of us were really underwhelmed with the other's like reaction, and like basically that like it's one thing to like understand like okay like if the owners of HCL are two robots trying to do what's best for their business, they're probably going to do what they did, but it was just really hard for me, like on a personal level.
Yeah. I
And
mean, we were
real quick,
both in it.
and it sounds like you're kind of saying the same thing,
Yeah.
which is like, you're like, well, shit, like Garrett and I go way back, man. It would have been better. Like, it would have been really nice if he would have kind of thrown me a bone in those months. And I hear you when you say that.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, it affected me a lot that you never once reached out or even texted me and said, like, hey bro, like, sorry you got to go through all this shit, like, how are you doing with all of it? Like, and you can criticize me for the same thing, but I'm just telling you that's just the truth, that over those next few months I was kind of shocked that you never once reached out, and that we
Yeah.
didn't talk until literally like the day that our investigation thing was coming out. And the reason that you reached out is because you knew the investigation was coming out and you wanted to talk about, like, how we should tweet to, like, make it look good or whatever, like, but never once did we have a private conversation before that where you're like, man, like, and just like reflect and talk privately like we did years ago when we used to be
Yeah.
friends and hang out and talk about all types of stuff. So again, I'm not saying that I was perfect. I'm not saying that I shouldn't have also, like, reached out, because I thought about it many times. I'm just saying that, it goes both ways. That's all.
Yeah, I hear you. Just like, food for thought. Like, imagine, like, even after all that, dude, like, you and I get on the phone in January or February or whatever, and then you just speak with me the same way we spoke about everything that was private for our ears only for years and years. And you say, hey, listen, like, I'm having a little bit of trouble, like, with the lineups. Like, we have Ben back in the mix, and, Ben's super cutthroat about the lineups. Like, like, what are you thinking, Garrett? Do you think you might want to play? Like, maybe it could work out best for both of us if you play once a month, once a quarter. I mean, there's no way you can argue that wouldn't have been a better situation for both of us instead of just this absolute clusterfuck the way it turned out.
No, 100%. I wish that it would have went different. I mean, the truth is there was a lot of pressure from multiple players. So again, I wish it went different. I acknowledge that. But the truth is that not only were we facing the public pressure of all the, Berkeys and the talking heads that were constantly just bashing us, and me, deciding, do I defend myself? Do we leave it? Do we do this? We're working on what changes should we make? All of that, like, constantly from, the moment that it happened until, we didn't really get through all of it till, like, the new year. That was constantly on my mind, and that was all I really cared about. And so I didn't even get to really think about anything else till January. And then in that time, we had a bunch of players who constantly were just like, if you ever have Garrett on the show again, I'm never playing again, and I don't want to play with Garrett, and all types of stuff. I'm not lying. Like, this is real stuff. And so, I was just like, all right, well, I just don't want to deal with this. Like, this is just too much. Like, I just hope this all just, goes away. And that's just the truth, is that it was a lot of it was overwhelming.
I think Hustler would benefit from Garrett being on at least sometimes, not a zero.
Yeah, and that was the initial plan from the beginning, was, well, if it comes, hopefully it comes back one day, and it will never be the same, and we'll never be able to have him on once a week because of different reasons. But maybe we'll have him on once in a while, like on a special game. Like, that was my initial thought. shortly after that. But then, things change a little bit.
But Garrett, can you admit that maybe you shouldn't take such a cutthroat perspective for the game? I mean, like, do you need to win so much, or like approach the game where it's like, you're really thinking about every decision? Like I try to like look at it like, yeah, well, don't take my word, I've lost a lot, but like,
No, I think
like
you're
there's some perspective where it's like, I know the game better than someone else that I'm with, so like handicap yourself a little bit so that it's like a 50-50 fight, and then you guys are all just like on the same playing field.
Yeah, it's a super fair criticism, and it's one that I've very much taken to heart. When like, shit blew up, like again with the announcement that Hustler's not having me back, and then a bunch of people trying to explain why. I totally like hear where you're coming from, Alan. It makes sense. I think going back to Will's comment hours ago. I can't believe I've been doing this shit for this long, but he asked like do you miss poker? Like you're such a competitor, and I think that part is kind of challenging to me. Like I know how to, like make sure like when Dylan Gang slow rolls me not to react. I know when Wes needles me after every hand, like not to let it bother me. Like I always treat people with respect.
Wait, hold on.
Wait,
Can I
real,
stop you? Have you considered starting a drug addiction? Maybe that would help with your
it could
poker
possibly,
game.
but like all of that, but like it is honestly a bit challenging for me to wrap my head around not playing my best in hands like
Stop
that.
playing your best. Your best is too good. Stop.
I
Stop
know,
playing your
but
fucking best. Stop it. It's
honestly,
so
Alan,
annoying.
your criticism is well taken, and
Stop.
again, like no bullshit, I've watched from afar, like over the years, from when we first met 10, 15 years ago, how wildly successful you've been in life, and I go, this guy obviously knows some shit I don't know, so the point's well taken.
Oh, patronizing. I wish you could catch those chips in.
I'm gonna cut in here, guys. I kind of want to sort of wrap this kind of segment up, if you guys are cool with that, just because I'm getting super tired, and I don't know how much more you guys have to say, but
yeah, Will's very tired. He has 1,200 listeners. He wants to come back tomorrow. He has 438 listeners. It's very important for him.
It's 4:26 here, guys. You guys are on the West Coast. Look, I respect it, LA guys. A lot of respect for you guys. I'm never gonna cut you off if you still got more to say, but just letting you guys know it's late here, and yeah,
Will, you understand you have a job, right? Like you have a reason for being. Like we've talked about this a little bit.
Well, you can sign off. We'll keep it going.
What are you doing with your life?
I don't have a job, man. I don't get paid for this. This thing's free. I just press record and let you guys, do your thing. But yeah, I'm not gonna boot you, but
I think on that note, Will, I appreciate like you hosting this. Like again, like for some reason I have this like irrational belief there's only like 100 people listening to this and it's going to disappear in thin air after tonight.
Nah.
Was
after tonight, I'm hosting some shit. Will's going to sleep. You and I, Garrett, are going to talk about the state of the private world, which no one understands, right? We're going to bring some light to this. And Ryan's going to come in and tell us how we're previously valuable, but no longer valuable. And Herolibus is going to, listen with his dog and not say anything. Melissa is going to share stories about this with other people. And Len's going to say nothing other than tweet, and Berkey's going to make a YouTube video out of it, and we're going to make something really special. So
I could definitely be in for that. I think just on one quick serious note, Will, with Ryan, I just like appreciate his willingness to speak with me about this like publicly. He easily could have, shied away from something like this. I found,
yeah, that's cool for sure.
I found his responses to be like legit and either just real or slightly embellished. And I mean, I'll take it, and I think sort of we can kind of put to rest this, like, I don't know, basically this like, like gridlock, at least between, Ryan and I, that like people really don't believe that like we were close and there is a lot of love there. And who fucking knows if or when we'll ever work together or whatever, but he's he's a great business owner and someone who has done right by me in many ways for many years.
Yeah,
I
you'll
appreciate it.
clearly make love in the future. Everything's right.
I mean,
Yeah, no.
the truth is that, we've, I think, together to some degree, like, kind of really just helped, rise up, like, streaming, right? Like, those Friday shows at Live at the Bike were great. You were right there from the beginning on the Friday shows on Hustler Casino Live. We've had so many great conversations privately. Like, we both know, how we feel about each other, and that's never going to change. Obviously things happen in business, and it is what it is. But even when, there was people out there saying things, and you saying things and me saying things, like, people that would tweet stuff, I would respond and just be like, hey, listen, haven't talked to Garrett, but I'm pretty sure that, like, if we saw each other, we would, like, shake hands and hug. Like, I just, to me, that's always how I thought it was. And obviously I don't know how you feel inside, but to me, like, personally, I like you a lot and respect you, and have always have. We've just obviously had some issues business wise, so to speak, and that's
Here's the deal.
there's a
Give him
difference.
1.5% of the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Let's go for beat
I'm
out
not kidding.
giving me the business, bro. Come
I'm
on.
not kidding. Give him 1.5%. It's a nice nod
Can I share something
of his
quickly, guys?
contribution.
I see Vertucci's here. I think he should definitely come up here. I think if Garrett wants to hash out with everyone, I think he's the perfect addition to this.
I don't know, man. Nick's probably, like, woke up halfway through sleep on sleep chocolates and may say things that, he doesn't even know what he's saying because he's half asleep.
Yeah, bring him on.
No, I think you guys got to. I'm glad you guys got to talk this out. We've had Ryan on before.
Jaffe, you're like Matt Berkey with his podcast. You bury the lead into the last 5 seconds and then you cop out. Now we're gonna get some info from Vertucci, and you bow out.
Well, I'm not bowing out, man. You guys are free to do whatever you want. Like, but you got to realize it's LA time for you guys. I'm working on a schedule here. I got to be up in a few hours, but no, I'm never going to stop you guys. Look, the people aren't here for me. They're here for you. But just moving the train along the tracks. That's all I'm doing.
I gotta say, I mean, I echo what Ryan's saying here. Like, we have, like, sort of a moment of truce between at least myself and Ryan. And I mean, if you get Vertucci in here, all hell's gonna break loose.
I just don't want to be. I don't want to be up for another 5 hours.
Yeah, and like
why not? Don't you want to be in the stream? Don't you want to be in the middle of something that's happening? What are you talking about?
Keating, what are you on tonight, man?
Like 80 grams of edibles or something.
How did I know? I called that from the beginning.
How did you know, Ryan?
Because I know Alan a little bit.
Yeah, you guys are something else, man. But no, I'm glad. I'm glad to help you guys hash out your differences. Talk, be a neutral party.
What differences? The ones where I say how I feel and Ryan ignores them. You think those are like hashing out differences?
Look, I saw you and Ryan at the Ryan Garcia fight. Everything looked great. I don't know. They had popcorn. I don't know what's happened since then. You guys might need your own show to kind of rehash this.
Those were cool. In my seats for the Ryan Garcia fight, yeah. I appreciate that. That was fun.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start taking some call-ins if you guys are cool with that.
Jaffe, pick the spotlight, all right? You pick the spotlight.
What the fuck are you saying, dude? Ryan Lang, what's up, man?
What's up, Will?
What do you got for us?
I mean, this might be a little too early for this, but I mean, these cash game guys, I could care less. Like, why do we care about these random cash games?
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties with Ryan. He's got a bad connection. I'm gonna bring the sideline reporter just to mix this up.